All right, guys, for those of you that are at home doing online, we're going to go through we're going to attempt to go through your notes here, if I can get it to pull up. And hopefully this will work, and you can watch this on Canvas, and then you can hang on to this. You can write the notes down in class. You would have to write them down, so you may want to go ahead and write them down so you'll have them. But your tests will come straight off of these notes. Okay, so second. So make sure you have these for test purposes. I'm gonna be on my other computer here, but we'll see how this goes, and hopefully we'll be able to continue on. So section 1 here, we're talking about migration to the Americas, and we talk about the first people here. Scientists, archaeologists, different people, they kind of disagree. They've all got their theories as to how people got here, when they got here, how they got here. And so a lot of these theories, none of them are 100%, but we do know 100% that people were here prior to European exploration. When some of those first explorers came to the Americas, people were already here. Okay. Like I said, the people that know that are archaeologists. Okay. They study ancient peoples. They study their cultures. They dig and they study artifacts that are dug up. Could be pottery, could be skeletons, could be weapons, anything that they dig up from the ground. They can take those things, they can study them. They have this thing called carbon dating, where they can kind of date how old these things are. I'll be honest, I'm not sold on the carbon dating. These people say that some of these things are millions of years old, and from a Christian standpoint, I just don't believe that the world is that old. I don't know, because I haven't been around that long, but I don't think the Earth is millions of years old. But that's just me. Okay, but these archaeologists, they'll study all these different artifacts that they discover. I said tools, weapons, anything that's left behind by these early people. Just a picture here of what archaeology may look like. They grid off certain areas, and they start digging in these areas. And every little artifact, every little piece that is found, they'll document it. A lot of times they'll draw it themselves, and again, try to date it, see who it was that was using these things, and then they can kind of create a timeline as to how long those people were here, how they survived, what they did to survive. And that's how we know a lot about what we know about these early people that came to the Americas. And in the next section, we'll talk about some specific groups of people that came to these lands many, many years ago. Again, scientists kind of differ on how they got here. One of the main theories that scientists believe is that people came to America by crossing a land bridge from Asia, or present-day Russia, Siberia, into present-day Alaska. There have been numerous ice ages over the years, and scientists say that one of these ice ages, the temperatures were so cold that glaciers formed, and these glaciers were so massive that it froze a lot of the ocean's water, revealing this land bridge from Asia to Alaska. And so they believe that at one point there was dry land that people could cross from Asia to Alaska. And today that's not the case. But this land bridge was called Beringia. You can see from the map there, the You got the white part, or kind of cream colored, but then you've got this darker part. They say that was all land as well. And so these early people could come across into Alaska, and then they could travel south down into present day United States, present day Mexico, present day South America. So they did a lot of traveling because they were always on the move. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Just another picture of Beringia here. They say all this used to be land, and so people could just come across and then head into the Americas. Today, that's the Bering Strait. Obviously, those two areas are not connected anymore, but a strait is just a narrow body of water that connects two larger bodies of water. Any idea what two bodies of water are connected by the Bering Strait? If you don't know, you have the Bering Sea. If you watch, what's the Deadliest Catch? They catch all the crabs and everything. Anybody, I don't know if you watch that or not, but that's where they're fishing, in the Bering Sea. But in that strait, you can travel through the Bering Strait, and that'll take you up into the Arctic Ocean. And so those are the two larger bodies of water connected by the Bering Strait. Like I said, these people traveled a lot, and they traveled a lot because they were nomads. Okay, they were constantly moving from one place to another in search of hunting grounds, in search of food. They survived by hunting. There were small plants and things that they could gather, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. But the majority of these people survived by hunting the animals, and they just followed these herds of animals from place to place. And they believe those herds migrated across Beringia down into North and South America, and these people just followed them. Some of the things they depended upon: mastodons. If you don't know what that is, it's the picture on if you're looking at the screen, it's on your right. It's a smaller version of the woolly mammoth, which is the picture on the left. They depended on bison, probably seals. But these early people, they would basically use every part of the animal. The skin and the fur would be used as clothing. The bones could be used for tools and weapons. Some groups figured out that they could take the stomach of the animal, and they could use that as a way to carry water from place to place. But they tried to use every part of the animal. Some groups that would kill birds would take the small bird bones and use those as needles. They could sew using these small bones from birds. So obviously there was no technology, but that was their technology, using these different parts of these animals in order to survive. They're adapting to their environments. It said some ate wild grains, different fruits. Those that went out and did that were called hunter-gatherers. But even hunter-gatherers still depended upon meat as well in order to survive. But they did go out and gather different types of grains and fruits and nuts and different things that they knew that they could eat. Eventually, the Ice Age ended, and the animals kind of disappeared. And again, scientists don't really know if they died out from overhunting or just the climate change caused them to die out. But these large groups of animals began to disappear. And so, again, people have to learn how to adapt to their environment. And they learned they could plant seeds in the ground, and eventually crops would grow. Okay, so they began farming. And this time period of when these early groups began to farm and grow their own crops is called the agricultural revolution. That's going to lead to much bigger civilizations. Okay, but one of the main plants that some of these groups planted, maize, which is corn, pumpkins, beans, squash, some of the same things that we eat today. When you think of the maize, the corn, it's not like the big bright yellow ears of corn that we have. It looks more like this. But they would oftentimes dry it out, then they could shuck it, grind it up into some sort of cornmeal, and they could somehow cook with it with that cornmeal. Or I guess they could just boil the maize and eat it like we do corn on the cob. I don't know, but it's not the corn that we know today. I guess that was the last slide. Okay, like I said, the agricultural revolution, it's going to lead to the growth of larger civilizations, larger cultures, and we'll talk more about those individual civilizations in the next couple chapters. But people could now settle down in one spot. They're not constantly on the move. So when you settle in one spot, now places begin to grow, populations grow, buildings are constructed, but these larger civilizations and cities began to spring up because they could now stay in one spot. So, like I said, here are your notes for section 1. I'm hoping that this works. I'm not 100% certain that it's going to, but hopefully it will. And you can watch these while you are at home online. If you have any questions, email me, send me a message on Canvas, and we'll try to figure out what we can do. Again, I ask for your patience. This is new for all of us, so we'll try to weather the storm together.